everyone, as we go live with today's edition of Money Moves. I am boasting Amafai live at the FMDQ studios.
And I am Melissa Enoch here at the FMDQ archives. I hope you all have had a really great day.
All right, thank you all, everyone. And this is your news now. A UK-based exploration company known as Kavango Resources has opened its doors to Zimbabwean investors as it prepares for a secondary listing on the Victoria Falls Exchange on the August 29th. The company, which is already listed on the London Stock Exchange, is looking to raise up to $13.5 million for its Zimbabwean operations. Some $8.5 million of the fund is already secured. $5 million, of course, via a loan note facility with local pension funds in Zimbabwe, and a $3.5 million from a major shareholder known as Purebond. Zimbabwe's VFEX is a US dollar-only stock exchange in the country. Meanwhile, a raft of manufacturing data are on tap this week across Africa. In South Africa, of course, the S&P Global Purchasing Managers Index, or PMI, for July was a slightly better 50.3 reading from 50.1 points recorded in the month of June. The data indicating a marginal private sector growth shows improvement in employment and new orders, but rising wage and fuel costs led to modest price increases. Meanwhile, the Absa Manufacturing PMI for South Africa shows a rise to 50.8, crossing the 50-point threshold for the first time since October 2024, indicating economic rebound and optimism in South Africa's economy. All right, let's cross to Melissa now for more of today's News Now. Hey thou, Melissa, how are you?
Hello there, Bosin. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. In more PMI news, Egypt has reported an improvement to 49.5 points in the country's non-oil manufacturing index for July, the highest in 5 months. The PMI reading, which was still below the 50 expansionary mark, reflects a softer decline in output and orders, alongside the first job gains in 9 months for the biggest economy in the North African region. In earnings news, Ethiopian Airlines has reported 8% growth in annual revenue to $7.6 billion for its full year 2024 and 2025. The iconic air carrier says its total passenger movement was 19 million for the period under review, while total cargo moved was 785,323 tons. The CEO of the largest Air Africa's carrier by fleet size and passenger volume, Mesfin Tasso, says the results was due to post-pandemic demand recovery and continued network expansion. The airline, however, warned that external shocks continue to affect operations. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has launched a new paper on digital payment innovations in sub-Saharan Africa, sharing insights on the latest innovations in that subset of the financial system of the continent and their impact on financial inclusion and economic growth. Was the governor of the South African Reserve Bank and the head of the IMF's African Department, Abebe Amro Selassie. Take a listen.
If you could say a little bit about why digital payments matter for our countries and how the region would benefit from deepening digital payment systems.
The benefits to the consumers, that it will offer consumers greater choice, safety, and more convenience, and importantly, lowered costs. And if it doesn't achieve that for the consumers are not going to embrace digital payments. But just given the fragmented nature of finance on the continent, even in a country like South Africa, where you have got an advanced financial system, we found that digital adoption has actually been faster in the far-flung areas, for the simple reason that consumers cannot reach bank branches or reach automatic teller machines and so forth. So you find that the use of digital forms of payments among the consumers is higher in those respects. And so digital payments would expand access, and importantly, for the vulnerable groups like women and migrant workers and so forth, digital payments become very important. Secondly, is that for other providers like small fintech firms, digital payments are an added benefit for other services. So fintech companies are able to just do more than payments and go beyond the payments. So we find that they could be useful, for example, even in doing tax returns and so forth. But also importantly, that it moves beyond payment, because all these things is digital, and the providers can see the flows. It also changes the manner in which they approach the extension of credit because they have got access to data. In fact,
If you could say a little bit about why digital...
And finally, on today's news now, the NASD OTC exchange has announced a robust first half 2025 earnings, showing a 308% increase in revenue. To the OTC exchange posted a pre-tax profit jump of 646% on a year-on-year basis, which signals a strong financial rebound. The board of the NASD OTC has therefore proposed a cash dividend of 20 kobo per share and a bonus share of 1 new share for every 5 shares held. And I am Melissa Enoch. That's it on today's news now. Our markets rounds is up next with Bolson standing by at the ticket tape room. Stay tuned.
The continent. The BRVM added just 4 basis points to around 311.4 on the composite. Nairobi stock market came back around 158.38 by about 0.25%, while the GSC, the biggest exchange on the continent, added 0.5%. At the time we took the data, 1407 GMT, 99,830, as President Ramaphosa and his team scrambled for a response to President Trump's 30% tariff on Africa's most advanced economy. Let's take that up and just move on to the 10-year paper, looking at the government bonds. South Africa's 10-year paper printing 9.966.50%, up by 0.36%. Today, investors are taking some hard look at South Africa's bond, as you can see. Then, of course, the rest of the other 4 government bonds that we track on a daily basis. You can see them, the rest of the numbers: 15.96% for Nigeria, 2.8% for Morocco's 10-year paper, Mauritius 10-year paper about 5.52%, while the Kenyan 10-year paper is priced around 13.392%. Take that to currencies with the US dollar down around up about 0.6% on the US dollar. We're doing about 18 on Monday. That went up slightly today by 8 to 18.02 rand on the US dollar. The CFA franc in West Africa at 568.39. That's 0.28% upside for the US greenback on the CFA franc for 8 speaking West African economies. Then you've got the Kenyan shillings 129.20, trying to stay slightly up on the dollar by 16 basis points. You have the Morocco's dinar, the MAD 9.909, 0.29% on the dollar, and finally the naira gained about 0.53% on the dollar today. That's 1,530.6. That's the currency story for today. Now, let's flip all that over into the commodities for the first day today. As far as oil price is concerned, serious concerns about the impact of President Trump's tariff on big economies such as India and, of course, Switzerland. You've seen that over the last couple of hours. Of course, the president of Switzerland is on his way to Washington to meet with President Trump and the rest of the administration to discuss the latest tariff slap on one of the most stable and the biggest economies in Europe and around the world, Switzerland, that is. Of course, the United States is also looking at sanctions against India for buying Russian oil. The authorities in New Delhi are rattled by President Trump's decision to impose further tariffs on India. Then, of course, Russia itself is likely going to come under further sanctions from the United States. So these are some of the biggest economies in the world and partners to the United States. All of that rattling the global oil market, even as OPEC Plus says it's going to roll back the entire 2.2 million barrels per day, at least by the end of September. That's just about a month or so away. So all of that rattling the oil prices today sharply down. London Brent 1.15%, US WTI well below the $70.6540, 1.34%. Nat gas also, however, moved up 1.47%. RBOB gasoline $2.08 at about 12:46 GMT. Take that away. Let me take a look at metal prices. Gold still steady as it were, but down about 0.25%, $3,419 an ounce. Aluminum printing 0.21% in the red, while platinum waxing stronger today, or slightly down by 1%. Of course, the aluminum price is 2,558.36, and that's 0.21%. Metal prices are trying to digest President Trump's latest tariffs on big economies in the world, China, India, Switzerland, some of these economies that are very heavy on industrial manufacturing side. Now, finally, in agriculture, what you call the soft commodities, cocoa prices moved higher 2.2% today, 7,635,000 per metric ton. The news out of West Africa was that the farmers in Ghana are getting more money. The government there has increased the price, the payment to farmers by about 63%. That takes the price of a metric ton of cocoa in Ghana to 51,600 local currency. That's the CD. That's the announcement. So there's a surge as we have to look see that impact on cocoa prices broadly speaking. Of course, there are also concerns by traders about the dry weather season in West Africa. Ghana is the second largest cocoa exporter after Cote d'Ivoire. So all that in play today as cocoa prices moved up very strongly around 12:51 GMT, about 2.25%. Coffee prices still staying below the $300 as it were, but up by 1.58. That's a big upside. Look at palm oil on your data, on that data board, and you can see palm oil spot prices back at $1,000, $1,005.32. As at the time we're just putting this together for you, up by 2.26%. That's a massive upside for palm oil as its main driver. Soy oil also see some price jump. Now, India is one of the biggest importer of palm oil, as it were, including soy oil. So with the whole President Trump's tariff on India, one of his key trading partner, the impact of this is anyone's guess on key products such as palm oil, of course, which goes into not just household consumer goods, but also into other form of edibles, as it were. So all of this in play today. The tariffs from President Trump is the big story. Stock markets also losing trading water today, the second trading day of the week, as we all digest what happens next and how some of these deals will be sorted out between the White House and these economies around the world. Of course, Africa has gotten its own 15% tariff hit, in particular for a number of countries in West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and we're all dealing with all of that. But that's about it for today on Your Money Moves. From all of us here at the FMDQ studios, we say thank you. In case you missed it, that is your ticker tape for Nigeria's fixed income market here at the FMDQ. Bye for now. See you again tomorrow.